Hey, Kentucky, this is Mary Jo Perino. Tonight, a new statewide mask mandate comes from the governor. Leaders don't agree on a return to school, and college football looks like it is in trouble. All that and more is next on Hey, Kentucky. Welcome to Hey, Kentucky with LEX 18 Sports Director Keith Farmer. Keith, we had been remaining pretty optimistic about college football. We're going to talk about it in a little bit. I'm a little more pessimistic now.
I'm trying to get my breath from the gut punches I have taken today on several different counts that we're all going to talk about right now.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's get started then. First, to his press conference. Andy Beshear gave one this afternoon announcing 333 new cases of coronavirus and a new statewide mandate that Kentuckians must wear a mask in public after an escalation in coronavirus cases in Kentucky and across the country. The executive order will take effect starting tomorrow at 5 p.m. It affects all public places, including outdoor spaces where social distancing is not possible. Businesses will not be allowed to serve customers that refuse to wear masks. Enforcement will be up to local health departments. The executive order lasts for 30 days. There are exceptions for people with health conditions that make wearing a mask dangerous for them or for children under 5 years old. The governor played a video from John asking people to wear their masks. He said Coach Cal volunteered to do that. He also said again that people should not be traveling to beaches for vacation that are hotspots for COVID-19, i.e. Florida and Myrtle Beach, stuff like that. Keith, this is kind of what we expected, right? We're all going to be looking like this. Yeah. Maybe you won't all match as well as I do, though. But yeah, we're doing it.
I tell you, this is, yeah, we are. And the thing that does give me a little hope, I like the fact that it is a mandate, because now it gives more power to the businesses out there to ask someone to put on a mask before they come in. I know there's going to be some people out there that are still not going to do it, but at least they don't have to provide the service now to those that aren't wearing the masks. And, you know, it's kind of like he said, man up, do this, help each other out.
And listen, if you don't want to wear a mask and and you want to go into a store, don't be a jerk. I mean, don't yell at people working at that store asking you to wear a mask. I've seen too many videos of that, and it blows my mind. Just be kind.
Plenty of them. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, the big question in returning to school this fall is how will we do it? The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have issued guidelines for reopening. Not everyone agrees. That includes President Trump. For example, he said he disagrees with the guidelines and criticized them as very tough and expensive, and that he would be meeting with them. Asked on Wednesday at an appearance in Mount Sterling if he agreed with the president, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell diverged, saying, well, first of all, we ought to follow the CDC guidelines. There's no question about that. He added that he was not quite sure what the president had said. CDC Director Dr. Robert Redfield said this morning that despite calls from President Trump, the CDC will not be revising its guidelines. This all comes as many teachers in Kentucky's largest school district, Jefferson County, say they prefer to stay home and have class virtually to start the year. The survey of 3,700 local educators was done by the Jefferson County Teachers Association and found that nearly 2/3 thought the best course of action would be to hold class virtually. And Keith, I know we've talked about this. We all want students to be back in school. They got to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, and it's like we talked about yesterday. I mean, these teachers have to be thinking how much extra is going to be piled on me, and how safe will I be and the students be while we're in there together.
It's really going to be a balance of physical health versus mental health for parents, teachers, school districts, students. It's such a crazy situation. All right. Former Lexington Police Chaplain Donovan Stewart has retired and filed a defamation lawsuit against two prominent protest organizers. Stewart alleges that twin sisters Sarah Williams and April Taylor have spread malicious, false statements and fabricated outrageous lies about him and his family. Stewart was involved in an altercation with a black teenager in the Fayette Mall in February of last year, after which the boy's mother filed a federal lawsuit against Stewart of assaulting her son. The Lexington Police Department announced earlier this week that Stewart's chaplain position was being dissolved and that he was being reassigned. Stewart's lawsuit alleges the department dissolved his position as an unfortunate political reaction. In addition to his retirement, the Lexington Police and Fire Pension Board approved the retirement of 6 other officers in June and July. President of the FOP Bluegrass Lodge No. 4, Lieutenant Jonathan Bastian, said the 7 retirements were high and that he fears more police officers will retire in the coming months because of the ongoing protests sparked by the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and others. Bastian said several of the retiring officers purchased time so they could retire early. And Keith, I don't blame them. I'm sure that more retirements are coming. But truly what needs to happen is there needs to be a change in certain things in the way the police department operates in this country.
No doubt about it, and I'm not saying it's happening in this case, but maybe through I think I've said it before, maybe through some of the retirements and everything, it's the people that don't want to deal with this and just are the ones that maybe need to be weeded out. Again, I'm not saying these guys, I'm just saying that we may see it help in the long run. And in this case particular, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out in court from both sides.
From both sides, for sure. Now to an update on the University of Kentucky's COVID-19 testing policies. KSR is reporting the university will now be testing all athletes for the virus regularly. Previously, members of the football team were only given the antibody test when they returned to campus last month. 6 of the 106 student athletes tested positive for past infections. Now, this is coming as more and more colleges across the country are pausing their workouts. Ohio State announced yesterday its teams on campus have been shut down indefinitely after student athletes there have tested positive. Keith, it was a little shocking to me that UK wasn't testing athletes for the virus. I'm glad to see they are now. I think that's playing a little catch up.
And they were pretty mum on it too. I was trying to ask some questions here and there, never really could get straight answers. And I'm glad that now they're going to be doing the testing. Hopefully they will release those results as schools have, like Louisville, like North Carolina, like Ohio State, like you mentioned before, and Kansas State. So we've seen it a lot of places, and I think it's just good to know. We don't need to know the names. We just want to know how safe things are on that campus.
LSU, Clemson, both in the national championship game, they've both been doing that testing
Yep.
and talking about it. All right. More bad news, though, for the hopes of having college football in the fall. The Athletic reported just before the time of this taping that the Big Ten and Pac-12 are expected to play conference-only football games this fall. Brett McMurphy reported the ACC is expected to do the same. This after the Ivy League announced that it will not play any sports in the fall of 2020. The Ivy League is the first Division I conference to suspend football completely and other sports. The league's decision could be influential for other conferences. In March, they were the first ones to end their basketball seasons just before the virus began to run rampant. While these decisions doesn't necessarily affect all of college football, they're a Division I level conference. They don't go to bowl games, though, or in the college football playoff, but it's still not a good sign. This comes after we heard that Stanford is eliminating 11 athletic departments or sports teams. They will be cutting men's and women's fencing, field hockey, lightweight rowing, men's rowing, co-ed and women's sailing, squash, synchronized swimming, men's volleyball, and wrestling. The school cited an already large budget deficit that was exacerbated by the virus. Stanford is a member of the Pac-12, and that conference does lag behind in revenue in terms of TV deals. And those were non-revenue sports, obviously. But Keith, to college football, all the conferences are likely going to follow suit, right? I mean, everyone's just going to stay within their league.
Yeah.
If that happens, and then postseason, who knows that there will even be one.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we're talking 8 games for Kentucky. If all it has is the conference games, and the one major game you're going to lose, maybe even if it's just the ACC that does this, is the fact that you'll lose the Governor's Cup game with Louisville. It seems like, when we had all this COVID-19 breakout, it was like we went really big on the safe side. And now with sports, we tried to go really big on the let's hope we got sports, and now we're going down to, okay, well, now we need to take it and rein it in. And that's what's giving us this sense of, man, are we even going to have college football? We don't know. I mean, at this point, we would take a conference only.
I agree, but, we're talking about plane flights. We're talking about crossing state lines to play all these games. And that's where everyone's kind of telling us not to do that. So We'll see. Now to our weekly feature on Hey Kentucky, What's the Beef? Sponsored by the Kentucky Beef Council. State Representative Attica Scott has filed a complaint with the Louisville Metro Police Department that she was pushed and tear gassed by officers one night during the protest over Breonna Taylor's death. And leaders in Louisville are calling allegations filed in court by Breonna Taylor's family lawyer that a gentrification plan led to her death was a gross mischaracterization, and the Courier-Journal has found that renderings used in that court filing were actually produced by 4 UK students for a first-year graduate class in the College of Design. And that's tonight's edition of What's the Beef? Up next on Hey Kentucky, I will sit down with the president and CEO of the Lexington Legends for an update on where that stands. Stay with us.